I'm here at Stonington Vineyards for a number of reasons. We're really fascinated by the story of the winery and specifically your story. One of the things that I'm really fascinated about when I meet winemakers is finding out their history or their training. Where did you learn your skill and craft becoming a winemaker?
I actually apprenticed under another winemaker at another winery in Connecticut called Haight Vineyards. I got the chance to work with a fellow named Shorn Mills who had learned on the job also and had come out of the Finger Lakes.
So your training was truly on the job training, really from beginning sort of as a cellar rat, as they say in the profession, then becoming assistant winemaker.
Yeah, I think I got a lot of my background, I think, for just wine knowledge from the retail end of things. I spent a lot of time working in wine shops, about 9 years working in wine shops outside of New York City and Connecticut, but it was back in the 70s where wines were a lot cheaper. There was a lot more emphasis on European wines at that time, and like I was saying earlier, you could buy first growth wines still for under $10, and great Burgundies for $5 and $6 a bottle, and nobody was even buying California wines back then. You couldn't give them away, and I got a chance to go to a lot of auctions and go to a lot of the pre-tastings for the Hublin auctions for several years back in the 70s, and met guys like Sandy McNally and stuff like that, and I got a chance. I got into the business at just the right time because I got a chance to taste some of these older wines that were still available, and that really set my psyche on what wine quality was and what I wanted to do. And I just I didn't want to move. I've been moving around the country all my life as a kid, and I wanted to stay in New England. And I felt that we had certain spots in New England that we could come up with these fine varietal productions. It's just a matter of selecting the right site, picking your terroir, if you will.
As you know, I'm here also officially as an appraiser and as well as a sommelier. And one of the things that very much impressed me about Stonington Vineyards is the fact that as a smaller operation producing 5,000 cases a year, you actually do everything from the ground to grape to the fermentation to the aging. You actually bottle your own wines, you cork your wines.
All the packaging here, yeah.
Which is truly and labeling the bottles, which is truly impressive considering that so many of those aspects today, as we both know in the wine profession, are either subcontracted out, etc. Going back to a point that you mentioned about those influences that you had, I'm a true believer, and it sounds like you hold the same philosophy about what makes you passionate about what you do. And as you know, before I arrived out here, the only thing I knew about Stonington Vineyards was what I heard from the proprietor, Happy Smith, what I was able to read online on the website, and truthfully, I didn't know what to expect. And then I come out to this beautiful property, I taste the wines, which now I have an answer, I think, for a question that was in the back of my mind was, are these going to be New World or Old World? And I think you answered that question based on what your passion is with Old World wines. So kind of back to a passion for you, why did you choose, I'm going to ask this question in two parts. I guess the first part would be, what made you decide to grow Cabernet Franc and Chardonnay, which, as we know, Vitis vinifera are French clones as opposed to using hybrids? Now I know you use a couple hybrids and I want you to give us an explanation, but why Cabernet Franc and Chardonnay, and then also your use of the hybrids?
Well, Chardonnay was, I'm not going to say a no-brainer, but Chardonnay is such a universally accepted wines by people, consumers, and it grows in so many parts of the world that we figured we'd give it a shot because we really didn't know what would grow here. And the original owners of this property, the Clarks, had actually more of a shotgun mentality as far as they had 5 different varieties here when I started here. They had Zealot, they had
Which is a hybrid, correct?
it's a hybrid.
And we're saying that for the benefit of the viewers.
Right. They had another red hybrid called Marchal Foch.
Yes.
They had Pinot Noir. They had Riesling,
Which is a French grape varietal.
right,
Sorry to
French
interrupt.
Burgundy, right, red Burgundy variety, Chardonnay, and they also had a little bit of Riesling. So
Another European varietal found in Germany.
right. So within a year or two, we decided that we were going to get rid of a couple of those and hone it down to. We were also growing Vidal Blanc, which was so they had 6 varieties growing here, a couple of acres of each. So it was more of an experimental vineyard, and to get it to the point where we had enough of any one thing to make a production run of, we had to get our gallonage up. And so we went to Chardonnay because we already had a decent planting of that, and we expanded the Chardonnay planting. We ripped out some of the varieties we knew we didn't want to work with, and eventually went to Cabernet Franc because of Nick's desire to produce a Bordeaux style red.
And Nick, of course, Nick Smith, the proprietor.
Right, Happy's
So-
husband. He was very keen on producing a red. I wanted to stick with Chardonnay and Riesling, because I always felt this was more of a white wine region. But it turns out that with climate change, the Cabernet is doing actually quite well, better than I thought it would. I mean, it's I'm glad he twisted my arm and forced us to go that way.